My pleasure to be joined by the head coach of Indiana State, Chad Killinger. Coach, you've got your team at 6-6 right now. This is a group of young women, the ones that were there last year anyway, that only won 5 games. They only won 5 games a year before. You got things rolling, it seems, in your first year.
Yeah, I mean they've done a great job of buying in, and part of that I contribute to or attribute to the fact that we did. I try to figure out how they need to be coached, and I think each individual is different as far as that's concerned. But we did something really simple. We did one of those wordles where I gave them about 30 words, and I said you got to pick 7 words that mean the most to you. And as they did that, the 3 things that came out, number 1 was energy. But then the next 2 things were respect and confidence. And so really just looking at those 3 things, that's how we've approached the season from the time, everybody got here in July and we had the newcomers in as well. We just really tried to take that approach and they've responded really well, worked really hard. These kids would run through a brick wall for us and I'd run through a brick wall for them.
It's funny you say energy because somebody asked me what my word was for 2022, and I said energy was going to be it. So how does that manifest itself for you on the floor with your team?
Well, I think one with confidence and respect, I think there's some trust that's built there, and then I think as that trust, that energy really starts to pick up. They believe what you're saying, and in the locker room or after a win, celebrating in the locker room. I'm not one of those that believes you have to record every locker room celebration and put it on social media. And I think those are private moments for your team. Now there may be some that do eventually get put on there, but I think that just feeding off each other and believing in each other. And I know one of our girls the other day made a comment. She was doing an interview for a local newspaper, and one thing she said to the reporter was, Coach believes in all of us the same. It's not, it's not where we look at number 1 on the roster or number 12 on the roster and treat those kids any differently. Everybody gets treated the same. We try to do the best for each individual. And I think as you do that, then, everybody just responds.
I want to ask you about your locker room culture, because a lot of times we talk about culture on the court and what it looks like in the community and other things. But that's pretty interesting that, we came up in a time in the game where what happened in the locker room stayed in the locker room. And that's not always the case anymore. Why do you feel so strongly about that now?
Well, I just, again, I think it goes back to trust. I think we've talked a little bit about maturity at times with our group, but you got to let them be individuals as well. I mean, we have one young lady on the team that she likes to kind of dance around and be a little playful, and that's how she gets ready. And I'm not shutting that down because that's not what I believe. I think each person's a little bit differently. Now, I believe that kid can be a leader on our team, but at the same time, I've told her, like, in order to get people to follow you, you've got to make them understand when you're serious and when you're kind of playing around. And so, but I think that goes back to like that locker room and trusting everybody that's in there with you. I don't think there's like a magic words that you say as a coach to build that or anything. I think they have to see that you're genuine, that you care about them. I mean, I love these kids to death. I treat them like my own. And I think once they see that, then again, it's just easier for the process to build quicker.
So, Coach, your other 2 words are respect and confidence. So you start out Missouri Valley play and you knock off Drake. What does that do for your team and your program this early in the season?
Well, I think confidence, obviously, big boost. And I think from a respect standpoint, it makes people, understand that it's not like it was in the past where you looked at us as probably a win on your schedule, or if you had a tough game coming up, you knew you were going to get healthy playing Indiana State the next time out. We didn't really talk much about the past before that game. We really, I mentioned it one time. I said, last year you guys went up there and lost by 40, right? And they're like, yeah. And I said, well, that's not going to happen this time. And that was the gist of it. I mean, we didn't harp on it. We didn't play that up, any locker room postings or anything like that. We just really hit on it real quick. So we're not, that's not going to happen. We're not going to be disrespected. We've been a good road team. I mean, we're 4-3 on the road, 2-2 at home. We probably need to play more road games than home games. But I mean, I think that's part of it. I think for our young women, seeing that and seeing those results, I think just makes them want to work that much harder and believe in what we're doing that much more.
Well, when you go on the road and you play Drake and you make them turn it over 30 times and you score 32 points off, and right now at the time of this taping, you're number 12 in the nation in turnovers forced. I'm assuming that's a big part of the game plan and how you go about approaching things when you put your team on the floor.
Yeah, and it's probably a big change from what we talked about at the beginning of the year. We talked about playing fast and running that secondary break and getting a lot of shots up, and it's kind of changed just based on our situation, and it kind of became something where offensively I let the girls kind of play at the pace they were comfortable at. So if they weren't quite ready to play that fast, we can work on that, and in the future we can try to get to the pace I want to play at. But from an offensive standpoint, right now I feel like we're playing at the pace they're comfortable playing at. So we really had to figure out how were we going to be able to be competitive, and with that it just came down to the defensive side of the ball. And I've always thought when I became a head coach that I was going to be this offensive person that pushed the ball, and we scored a lot of points. And everywhere I've gone, it's just been the opposite. We've always started off with defense and building our teams, and obviously our offense gets better in a year or two. But they really bought into that, and I think it's not complicated. We know we have a system in terms of how we guard each screen, how we guard a down screen, how we guard a back screen, how we guard a cross screen. And we've worked on that since, preseason practice began. And so now we get into scouting reports and everything else. And we're not changing things. We're just kind of reviewing, hey, here, they run this set, this is going to be a down screen. How do we guard it? And they say it, and we're like, okay, so we guard it. And, we want to put some pressure on our opponents, and we have to force turnovers. We're not a great 3-point shooting team right now. We've had a couple of games where we've shot it well. We have kids that can shoot it, but I think that goes back to confidence. But no, turning people over, that's just kind of become what we are. And so I think every year a team's identity is a little bit different. Like you talk about culture of a program, identity of a program. I think those are two different things. I think your identity is what that individual team is and what they're good at. And right now for us, that's just defense, making it hard on people. And when you harass people for 40 minutes, we're not even pressing, we're doing that in a half court. So when you really just put some pressure on people in the half court and make them have to make plays, I think that just wears on teams.
Well, Chad, thank you so much for being with us on the Missouri Valley Weekly. You've done a terrific job with your young team, and to get them at 6-6 and to have an upset win over Drake on the road already on your resume. I think your energy, your respect, and your confidence, your 3 words, are definitely working.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, appreciate you having me on and just everything you do to expand the game and get us out there. I do appreciate all that.
All right. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.